Broadcasting live from the Business RadioX studios in Phoenix, Arizona, it's time for Phoenix Business Radio, spotlighting the city's best businesses and the people who lead them.
Have you ever been to that place where everybody knows your name? You'd probably have to be my age to understand that reference, but we are not going to talk about a pub today, but we are going to introduce you to two folks who have created an incredible coffee house, Brick Road Coffee, right here in Tempe, Arizona. And I have only had maybe 5 minutes with these folks so far, but I can already tell that this is going to be that community place, that landing place where truly everybody will get to know everybody, and it's the place to be. So with that, let me introduce myself. I'm Karen Nowicki, and I'm the host of Phoenix Business Radio. We're broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneurial Center today, right here in Tempe, Arizona, where we help build businesses and connect you with the right people and the right coffee. So please help me welcome Gabe Hagen and Jesse Shank, the co-owners of Brick Road Coffee. Welcome, gentlemen.
Thank you. Thank you so much for having us.
Thank you so much. This is a great opportunity.
I agree. And we have your, I want to say your marketing team or PR team or a combination of all the above to thank for this opportunity, right?
Yes. Yeah, the Felice Agency. They've been really great helping us get set up.
Felice Agency.
Yep.
Yes. And I, after we had the introduction, I went and checked them out. And I think I've met one of the owners before, or at least I've seen him around. And I was uber impressed with what they've done on behalf of you and just getting started. And of course, their client list. So at some point, we'll have to have them on as well.
Yes.
So tell us who you are and tell us why Brick Road Coffee and why Tempe, Arizona. We've got a full hour, so don't be shy.
Wow, who are we? So we're two crazy people. Yeah.
Wild and crazy guys.
Gabe and I are husbands that moved to Tempe in 2015, and we have both been in banking and finance for a long time and have been pursuing careers there. And I think like many people in the last couple of years, we had the occasion to kind of look around and see what we were doing and why we were doing it and what our goals were, whether what we set out to accomplish 5-10 years ago was still what we wanted to accomplish now. And we decided that we wanted to take a new direction. Some of those bucket list things that you say you're going to put off and do in retirement, hey, what can we do now?
So why would we wait?
Yeah,
right?
I mean, it just felt very organic. We kind of looked at what impact we were having on the world too. And it really was, you made the reference and the nod to Cheers, but that's exactly what we were trying to create is a community where we could go in every day and it didn't feel like work. We were just going in and hanging out with our friends and our neighbors and our community members and just getting to know everybody on a different level and just we happen to make their coffee.
Yeah. And you moved here what'd you say?
Tempe 2015.
2015, but didn't make the move to open Brick Road Coffee until
October of 2021.
So brand spanking new.
Yep.
You've been open for 3 months now?
Yes. We opened October 19th was our first soft opening day.
Yeah.
We hired in November, did training through December, and then just had our ribbon cutting actually last weekend.
Well, I know Daryl and I, both our producers, so badly wanted to be there and we weren't able to. So we were thrilled that we had you unscheduled to come in this week and talk about it. So I was hoping, I didn't talk to you about the Cheers reference ahead of time. It just came to me as we got to know each other because I really sensed that community about you. But that really is the goal, right? To give people an opportunity to just have this comfortable place to land and hang out.
Yeah, I think for me in particular, so he talked about, we both work in banking. I worked in banking for 15 years, but my first start right out of high school was Starbucks.
Oh.
So that's how I found out my love for coffee and like what it could do. And I'm giving a nod to them, but that third place environment really was something that they championed.
Mm-hmm.
I went back a couple of years ago, just to get some help with my ASU while I was finishing my degree there. ASU alum,
Yay.
Shout out there. And I felt like that wasn't there anymore. I felt like they truly had shifted focus. And that's when I started thinking like maybe there's that need again.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe that's someplace that we can fill that void within the community and creating a place that is more focused on who comes in and what they have and what they're doing and how we can connect to that community. So,
Yeah, I think we both call back a little bit to our youth He's talking about working in Starbucks back in the day. I did work in pubs in San Diego
Okay.
for 12 years, and daytime bartending, getting to know your customers at that level when they come in every day and you're experiencing their life with them as they go. And not only do you get to know your customers get to know each other, and you really build a small community within a community there.
Hmm.
And it's nothing against banking, but I miss that a lot, and I'm anxious
Yeah.
to get back to that type of environment.
Yeah.
Um,
So this was clearly a business decision and even a bucket lifestyle decision for the two of you. Had either of you had experience in business ownership previously? It doesn't sound like it.
No, and that's what I think is so fascinating. This last really 8 months. I mean, the place we live right behind the shop. It was one of those nights we were just researching what do I want to do with my life. We saw it for sale, the assets.
And you were like, oh.
We just kind of put in a random offer. Not really random. We thought about it. We put in an offer, but we didn't know what we were doing. We don't know how to run a company. We didn't know how to source coffee, where do you buy milk for a coffee shop? All of those logistical things we really did go into kind of blind and figuring it out on our own. But the thing I think I was the most surprised at was how incredible the entire business community here is in Arizona. And like I met with a ton of coffee roasters. Every single one of them was like, let me know what I can
Willing
do
to
to help.
share.
Even if you don't use our coffee, let me know how I can help. What questions do you have on how to open up a coffee shop? I was
Yeah.
afraid they were going to be like, oh, competition. No, like there is like this giant consensus of like love and brotherhood and sisterhood amongst the coffee industry, and I'm assuming the small business industry.
It's small, medium, and large. It's funny that
Yeah.
you mentioned this because the episode we had earlier was with 3 female professionals. One, the president of NABO, the National Women's Association for Business Owners. The other gal runs a division for the Chicano Por La Causa organization, and then the other gal is a sales consultant. And I said that very thing because Debbie, one of the guests, is fairly new to Arizona. The last, I want to say 8 months, I think I remember. And she was the one who said similarly, our business community is so willing to say, how can I help? What do you need? Even when it's technically competitors, and I do find this, to your point, I find this across all industries. And we're blessed to do interviews from large enterprise to, secondary education, ASU, U of A, NAU, all the way down to the mom and pop shops that are brick and mortar, or just, the dad and the son who are washing windows and don't really have a place to hang their shingle. People are always looking to help in whatever way they can. And I think we're one of the friendliest states when it comes to our business community. So I'm really thrilled to hear that you're already seeing that. I would be remiss if I didn't ask if you're members of Local First yet.
We are.
Yay!
We are Local First. We are members of Local First. We're members of the Tempe Chamber of Commerce, which has been a phenomenal partner. They are the actual ones that hosted our ribbon cutting last week.
David was just in
Yes,
2 minutes ago before,
we saw each other
good.
on
You
the
did
way
get
out.
to-
Yeah, so
Oh, good.
our paths did cross.
I'm so pleased.
We also joined the Equality Chamber, Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of
Very good.
Commerce.
Yeah.
which is where we found the Fleece Agency.
That's where we
right?
found a
Yeah.
lot of our
And-
business partners.
Yeah.
Yes. And I want to again give Felice Agency a shout out because I have just, again, looking at their client list and just the presence that they have, I sense that they too have been a great connector for you, not only taking care of the marketing and the digital platform and all that, but I'm sure
I can truly, honestly say we wouldn't be where we're at now,
If it hadn't.
3 months in, without
Aw.
them taking us on and like really bringing us in, because they've been such a huge partner helping us navigate things that we just haven't had to navigate
Yeah.
before being new business owners.
And not only marketing, right? I
Right.
mean, they push us in other aspects of business. Have
the
you thought about
PR.
this?
Yeah. Sure. Not just the marketing piece.
Right, but online sales, other things too. I mean, they have tons of ideas and tons of experience, and like other businesses in the community, they're helping us in every way that they can.
Yeah, those
So,
introductions
Yeah.
and the skill set as well as the savviness goes
Right.
a long way. And I apologize. I heard Tempe Chamber. I heard Local First Arizona. The Equality Chamber.
Yeah, Greater Phoenix Equality Chamber of Commerce.
That is the first time. So we're going to have you help me get them in here for a guest appearance because I don't know that I've ever heard of that chamber before.
They are Phoenix's, actually, they're, I think, one of the oldest LGBTQ Chamber of Commerce in the nation.
Yeah.
Before, I believe they used to be called the Greater Phoenix Gay and Lesbian Chamber of Commerce.
Maybe that's why there was a name change.
There was a name
because
change
I am
recently.
okay.
Yep.
That's why. Very
But,
good.
but they're a phenomenal partner as
Yeah.
well. That's how we found the Fleece Agency, was through that connection.
So good.
We found our accountant, I think,
Yeah,
through that way
yeah.
as well.
Yeah.
And then we're also members of One AZ Community, which is another really great organization that helps connect.
Yep. I believe we've had them on with
Yeah.
us before too. Good.
Angela's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah. Very good. I feel like we kind of touched on this, but why coffee over any other small business? Because clearly in your bucket list plan and your life plan and COVID, an opportunity for us to pause and go, are we really doing what we want to do? Why coffee? And were there any other businesses that were right up against it?
Do you want to talk about the travel agency?
Oh, wow.
That we opened in November of 2019.
Really?
So we caused the global pandemic. I don't know. Just that's
One of those things.
Right here, ladies and gentlemen.
We're the
Yeah.
guys.
So that was our that was brief and low
Quickly
cost of
learned we didn't
entry,
want to do that.
thankfully. Yeah.
We want to travel, right? But
right.
we don't want to help other people
I
travel.
love planning my travel. I don't love planning other people's
Don't wanna
travel.
do
I found
mine.
that out very quickly.
Right.
It was
So
like
that-
our first client.
Yeah, that was a nice test. But yeah, coffee, I think we both wanted a place outside the home, right? Outside the office where there's a little bit of randomness, a little bit of maybe chaos, but there's always community. There's always people talking and coming together. And, I'll call back. I think we both had that experience in prior employment, and we just wanted to recreate it, right? And an environment like a coffee shop really gives you opportunities as business owners too to take other goals forward. I'm not running for office or anything, but we like to connect people to politics, to local politics, to become informed. We've been hosting a lot of the candidates for the Tempe Council race, have been holding meet and greets
So good.
at Brick Road Coffee, and it's been a great experience. And the community's really appreciated. I know the candidates have.
Yeah, even something as simple as bringing in local Girl Scouts to
Mhm.
sell in front of the shop. Like, it's just a way that they can kind of learn a little bit of business on their own. Like, that's kind of the point of the Girl Scout cookie sales, is that entrepreneurial aspect. And so we have a great troop mate, I guess. I don't know what they're referred to as.
Sure. And typically, right, the Girl Scout leader, Boy Scout leader, whatever organization that's selling candy bars for Little League, whatever it is, they have to go typically to the business and knock on the door and say, hey, would it be okay? And I would imagine they get a lot of no's. So how refreshing for you, I don't know how it all came to be, but for either you to go to them or they come to you and you're like, of course, this makes sense, right?
Right.
I
Yep.
love it. So
Yeah.
quickly inserting yourself in a lovely way in the community and just being that place to go. And now I really am sad we couldn't go to the ribbon cutting, but we'll swing by. And we talked about me having grown up in the Tempe area, so I was very familiar once I could figure out the corner that
Yeah.
you're on. So not too far from here. What sets you apart from other coffee shops? I mean, of course, you're locally owned. What else?
So we're locally owned. We obviously use our coffee roasters local. We use Cult Coffee up in North Phoenix. Great coffee. Squares Bakery is in Tempe as well. There
Yep.
are croissants. Jonathan Robbins Bakery does our bagels and some other things. So we try to keep local.
Did you find your milk?
Our milk, Costco.
Costco? So
I
the
was-
United Dairymen Council is just down the street from us, and they're members of the Tempe Chamber as well. I'm willing to bet they could give you some suggestions so that you can feel a little bit more. I mean, Costco, of course, has Shamrock, whatever, but maybe we can make that introduction
Yeah,
for you with
yeah.
Roxy, because she'll take good care of you.
Yeah, I was surprised by the difference between what consumers pay versus businesses, because there's, I guess, subsidies in there.
Mhm,
So that's
mhm.
why Costco
It's
tends to work out
the
better.
dairy industry I found is fascinating. We had Roxy
Yeah.
on not too long ago, and I was like, wow, I
I'll
had
give that
no
one a listen.
idea. Right. Okay,
And
so
then I was-
locally sourcing
yes.
everything. And who else?
We use Squares Bakery and then also Jonathan Robbins Bakery, both Tempe-based bakeries.
Right. So another thing that's I think a differentiator for us. There's two big things. One's bigger than the other, but we're open late and we're committed to that. So we close at 10 p.m. And if enough students harass us during finals week, maybe we'll stay open a little bit later. And that's partly an experience Gabe had getting his master's degree and working full time.
I bet.
Getting off work at 6:00, eating dinner, and then trying to get out of the house to get that environment change that helps you study and absorb things, and then getting kicked out 15 minutes later. We always said if we opened a coffee shop, we were going to be open late.
That's super cool.
And then the other one is, I think we throw a lot of hints out around in our decor and our other choices, right?
Subtle.
Right. We're not very subtle. Okay, there's rainbow birds on the sidewalk out front, right? We are an openly LGBTQ owned and operated business, and we really like calling that out. We want to be the safe space for people that may not have somewhere else to go. Some people, when they walk into a new establishment, they don't know how they're going to be received. They wear their diversity on their sleeve. We want people to know that when they come to our shop, they are welcome. And that's for everybody, right? Everybody is welcome. So we're kind of, we're loud about that, I think. And that is a surprising amount of reception there. That honestly, even we didn't have any idea how big the gay community is in Tempe, how big the trans community is in Tempe. We were pleasantly surprised by the number of people walking through our doors.
Good.
That didn't have any clue who we were, but looking around and nodding their head and saying, "Yeah, okay, this is for me."
So good. And Tempe really is a great place for all of us. It's a great melting pot.
Yeah, and I think a lot of that comes from. So I was telling the story of telling Jesse why it was so important to have that presence, be so known. And I grew up in Iowa, so born and raised Midwest. I moved out and right after high school to San Diego, and that's where we met.
Very different, Iowa, San Diego.
Very. It was literally if you drew a hold a string and a pen, it's as far away without leaving the country I could get. It was a totally different experience. I moved to Hillcrest, which is known as the gay neighborhood in San Diego, and so I remember I had friends visit, and I would tell them "Hey, wherever you go, as long as you can see the rainbow flags on the street signs, you knew you were in an area where the businesses would receive you well. You're going to be in a quote unquote safe space." Moving here, I lost that connection. There are areas of Phoenix, and especially like Tempe. I love how accepting Tempe genuinely is,
but more subtle.
But it's not as outward facing.
Yeah.
And I think that's very important for anybody that is struggling to find out who they are, to know that there's a space that they can come and be accepted for whatever identity they represent as or want to be known as. That is going to be accepted and validated. We have even a lending library that's all LGBTQ focused stories. And that was another thing from my childhood trauma of going to a bookstore, having to go to a gay section or buy a gay book. You're outing yourself at least to one person. And so it was important to have that library available, so somebody that maybe isn't ready to even out themselves to a barista can pick up a book, put it in their bag, go home and read it and see themselves in a story. So it's really just creating a space that is giving that person that validation that they need, and hopefully making that journey a little bit easier than the journey I went through.
And it isn't a bar.
And it isn't a bar.
Or involving alcohol, which, again, we met in the neighborhood of Hillcrest in San Diego, and I worked in bars and clubs, and that was kind of the world to me. I mean, obviously there's an LGBTQ community outside of that, but, for me very early on, being gay was associated with the clubs and that scene, and it's important to me that we promote something that's other than that. It's accessible. So.
And so, people have asked are you going to serve wine? We are a sober, safe space. And that is a decision we made. We're actually, we want to be embraced. We do outreach to the recovery community as well to try to know that, let them know that this is a place that they can be themselves and come and do step work and work with their sponsors or sponsees.
Oh my gosh.
And really just have that safe space.
So love getting to know both of you. I'm just inspired and impressed that this decision was made. you tried something, previously, the travel agency, and here you've landed on this, and already in a very short amount of time, less than half a year, you're already like, I'm guessing that you're looking at each other in the morning when you're off to work going, here we go again. This is going to be another blast. And it's not without hard work.
Right. I love it. I love waking up every morning. And right now we're still in full on startup mode. I mean, being 3 months in, for the most part, up until like maybe a week or two ago, we were there from open to close.
Oh, goodness.
Mhm.
You had to be.
We've just started, we have our first few employees where we're like, here's a key, don't burn it down. Please, thank you. So we started giving out some keys to our employees. So we're starting to take a step back because the business is really growing at a pace where there are more demands of us. And he retained his full-time job. So that way we can, retain a house.
Yeah. Are you still working full-time then?
Don't tell my employer I'm on the clock. No, yes, I am.
Yeah.
I'm still employed with a bank.
But how exciting that you'll know when it's time, right? Or if it's time. Yeah.
Yeah.
And at 6 p.m. I can say, oh, here we go again, and run off to the cafe.
Right. And you look forward to that?
Yes. Some people have asked me, like, how are you holding up?
Yeah.
Like kind of two jobs. But honestly, there are so many women out there that work a full-time job and then go home and do the laundry and cook dinner. And they are working a lot harder than I am when I get to pick up at 6 o'clock and go hang out at my coffee shop with customers who are my friends now, so it's not so much work, really.
Yeah, it's an entirely different pace, and I'll admit I miss some of my banking past. It's a different world.
I can't imagine. Sorry,
but yeah, it's one of those things where I actually think you had my former employer on a few weeks ago. They're an amazing employer. I loved them, but it was a change of pace that I think was well needed after as much time as I spent.
And I don't know which bank you work for, and I don't want to know until we're off air. But I will say, I don't know why, but I've thought of this several times in my mind. Banking has been really funny on the customer service end of things, at least from my perspective, right? So of course we can drive through, we can do, take a picture of our check, and we don't typically have to go to the bank anymore. But I just recently switched banks to a local bank. I made that choice with Thomas Barr's help at Local First Arizona. He does his show with us, Arizona Good Business. I just remember walking in a few times, standing in line and having that greeter, not the Walmart greeter that's all smiles and really wants to, pat the kid on the head and say how you're doing, but the greeter at the bank that comes and says, what are you here for today? Like, it's such a personal thing, banking. And I'd be like, I just want to see a teller. Well, how can we help you? And it's like, wow, slow your roll. This isn't helping me.
I think that's actually a really sorry to dissect, but I think that's kind of where we're at with our startup and where we want to be as we grow. The intent, working in banking, I know the intent behind that. They want to expedite your experience. They want to make sure if it's just a check deposit, they can take care of it. They can make it move faster. But the execution of how they're doing it, it's defeating that impact, and it's making you feel in a position where it's like, and I think that's where a lot of companies, and I am still naive, and I still think that I can build a business where hopefully as we grow and I have 2, 3, 4 locations, whatever it may be for our future, that we can continue the culture and the community aspect that we're building without sacrificing that.
I'm going to challenge you on the word naivety, because it's not naive at all. You absolutely can do it. You both have the chops for it. You have the heart. You have the business acumen. I can already see it. And the bigger you get, and what a great example of the world-renowned coffee place that we talked about earlier, where you've noticed that some of that has been lost on them, but there are just as many companies, coffee or otherwise, where in hospitality or whatever, that's never been lost.
I actually, before in prep for this, I'll be fully honest, I watched a few of the previous tapings, and I listened to Lauren Bailey with Upward Projects, I think.
Yep.
I was so
and
inspired.
The whole Joyride.
Yes.
I can't even say it.
Listening to her kind of talk about how you have to, it's not that you can't do it, it's just you have to do it differently.
Yep.
So there are days where we're 3 months in, and she made a comment. She was like, there are days where you just look at it and it's like, well, we're just going to require uniforms. It's just easier. And you have to make that decision to go the harder way. There's already been those things coming our way, and it's like, that's that starts from day one. It
Yeah.
really is. And it's just going to continue to snowball into those decisions where you have to look at them and say, are we going to hold true to what we intended, or are we going to go with what's easier because it's been proven, implement a dress code and it just becomes easier because then you don't have to worry about a standard there. You've already set that standard versus allowing people to bring their authentic self to work
Yeah.
and knowing that that may end up in conversations where it's like, okay, we do understand why maybe we don't do this or that.
Yeah.
I would rather have those conversations any day over.
And keep falling in love with those conversations, even though they might bring a little bit of a rub. You can be 5, 6, 10 years into this and come upon one of those conversations again. I want to mention Conscious Capitalism and Conscious Capitalism Arizona, because this very conversation I think might be a great reference for you. Are you familiar with Conscious Capitalism?
I was just introduced to it after joining the chamber. So
Yeah.
I've just started exploring it, and I think it's an incredible
It is. And it's a
organization.
nationwide movement. It's basically a movement. You can call it a nonprofit. And so we're in the Mac 6 community here, where the Tempe Chamber is just across the hall. I don't know if you knew that.
I
Well,
did
you
not.
got to see David, so that makes sense that he was here. But
I thought he was just stalking us.
I think he's stalking Daryl, actually. We love David. I know you have a feeling you're probably listening, so we love you. Kyle and Scott McIntosh, father-son team, own Mac 6. And Scott brought Conscious Capitalism to Arizona. And it was, I want to say like the 4th chapter, probably 10 years ago when the movement was starting. It was, I want to say Home Depot, Whole Foods, the Container Store, a lot of business owners who said, there's a way to do business right. And it's just good business. And we want to make sure that when we're in business, we're always taking care of all the stakeholders. So it's about the community. It's about our employees. It's about us. It's about our shareholders. It's about our vendors. We have to find the win and the yes, and we don't sacrifice anybody along the way. And as long as you subscribe to that belief and that philosophy and you build your business around that, you really can find a way to create a win for everybody. Even if you have to let go of an employee, right? You can send them off with, hey, here are some references, or, those kinds of things. So I share that, and I'm happy that you're familiar with them already. Would love for you to become a member with us. Also, Gino Wickman, if you're not familiar with the EOS, Entrepreneur Operating System, is a fantastic, there's books, there's trainings, and it's really around the conscious capitalism philosophy. How do we build a business that's a sellable business possibly, or a legacy business at the end of the day when we're done, right? How do we build that from this point forward, even if we hang on to it forever? And how do we put systems and processes and people in place, the right people on the bus and the right seats, the right processes, the organizational development, all that. So I'd love to have you guys take a look at the membership is very nominal. And we often have trainings here at Mac 6.
Yeah, that's amazing. That's kind of one of my main objectives when I decided to take this leap and quit my career. It was not for money. It was really to almost do an experiment. I say we're still early enough where my dream is 10 years from now, I'm making 6 figures, but that's only because my lowest level employee is also making 6 figures. Like, I want to see if that's really a reality I can create by just eliminating that pay gap between the top level and the bottom level, like minimizing that to the point where it almost doesn't exist. Because I look at a business, and this may be something where you might be able to tell that I've never owned a business before, but as the top person, I wouldn't have a job without the bottom person.
Right.
And so it doesn't matter if I'm making X number of dollars, because without them, they're doing that work and creating that community and living that mission.
Yep.
We're not going to be successful. So I love what they're doing. I think that's absolutely something that we want to look into, because that is, I think, more so than anything, I want to see if we can create a business where you raise the minimum wage all you want. It's not going to impact me because I'm already paying well above it.
Yeah,
that's my goal.
Yeah.
One of the challenges putting the business plan together was bringing those goals back, to reality a little bit, right? Like, no, we want to pay X. We think we can afford to pay Y. We still landed really high, I think, for the industry, and we're doing great. So
we started out the where we started right now, being 3 months in, is we're above minimum wage, not by much, but we're above minimum wage. We didn't take advantage of the whole you can pay tipped employees less. I don't believe in that philosophy. I believe if you need an employee, you can pay them.
Yep.
And that's just my belief. And I think I want to try to see if that's something that can happen. The only sacrifice I've made is I haven't taken a penny from this place. That's the only sacrifice I'm making.
Yeah.
And
you got a partner over here who can help make that happen.
Yes. And I'm very fortunate for that. We're very, very lucky that we are in that position. But I think it's still something where the community has resonated with kind of our mission and what we're doing. And I don't know if I think it's a combination of the community, what the police agency has been doing for us.
Yeah.
But we're leaps and bounds ahead of where all of our pro formas and bank documents that we had to fill to get a loan.
But, I think one of the reasons we wanted to treat our employees well is because we know that is obvious to customers too, right? When the employee is happy. And we were really lucky. We were a little intimidated coming in because a lot of businesses around us are closing, can't hire, blah, blah, blah. We had so much interest just expressing our mission, I think, up front. We had so much interest from people. We didn't get baristas coming in with 5 years of experience, a few, right? But we got the right people that were excited to grow with us. And they are so happy to come to work. It really translates to everybody. My only problem with the employees is I'm willing to clean the toilets, but I can't get any of them to do the accounting work. So
Darn it.
They won't do my QuickBooks
for us. Come on.
Hey, for the team that's listening, I have a feeling. Although that is one of those things you always want to have your finger on. So don't give that job away too early.
I don't want my finger on the toilet. So Okay.
Oh my gosh, I love it. I think you have a theme too, right? In the name Brick Road Coffee. Is there a theme, and where did that name come from?
We definitely, there's some subtle, not so subtle nods to the Wizard of Oz. Brick Road, obviously, if you look at our logo, the bricks are yellow. Our mascot or the icon is a flying monkey pouring a kettle for a pour over. A lot of it came from the inspiration behind Wizard of Oz. I resonated with that whole journey, the journey of acceptance. You had everything in you the entire time. That's a very, very powerful journey. I feel like a lot of us have ties to it or can associate some part of ourselves to it. I also really I always loved a lot of the innuendos that came out of Wizard of Oz, especially for the LGBTQ community. A lot of people don't know this, but benefit of us meetings when we did, I was young, but a lot of our friends
I was not by implication.
I was just going to say, I didn't want to note that, but I kind of gathered that was the...
But he worked as a daytime bartender. So a lot of the clientele were retirees. So I got an amazing education on the queer journey and the gay rights
over
movement.
The years. Yes.
And the thing that one of the things I fell in love with was how you would ask somebody if you were gay. And it used to be, are you a friend of Dorothy? Because Judy Garland, Dorothy, she was one of the first real champions for the LGBTQ community.
Not know that.
Liza, obviously, her daughter is very, very, very well known as an icon within the community. So that's one of the little innuendos. So I just love the tie-overs that we can have with that. It's just been fun to kind of play with it throughout different parts. We have a mural that a local artist, Paige Reeser, she teaches art here in Tempe as well. She did a mural in our place, and it's
cool.
Got this amazing brick road painted throughout. And she was even able to incorporate a black and white Tempe skyline that ends with a cup of coffee and like community building around it, all in full color.
Oh my goodness!
So it's got the black and white color. It's
great, and occasionally some of her ex-students or current students will come in and do homework, and
they recognize the work.
Yeah, and oh wow, it's Paige's.
Yeah. Oh, that's so good. There is another company in Tempe that I've only had a chance to be a patron of one time. It's the Drink Me Tea Room. Have you heard of them?
I have heard of them. I haven't been there yet, but I've heard great things.
I didn't get to meet the owner, but a girlfriend of mine met for tea there, and it was just such a unique experience. And their theme is based off of Alice in Wonderland.
Fun.
And they're not too far from you. And I just
we could have a crossover
I was going to see. I can't help but think there'd be some really cool opportunities there. But even just partners in this, because I don't think they've been open very long either. Longer than you, but I don't think quite long. And this whole theme thing is really super cool. So I love it.
Yeah.
Who needs a pub crawl? You just fairy tale
Yes.
crawl,
Yeah.
right?
Right. Through Tempe.
Right.
I'm sure we have other, places that we can incorporate that in. That's awesome.
Hansel and Gretel.
Yep. That's
The
another.
German cuisine.
Yes.
Yeah, they're in
Tempe.
Tempe.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yes.
If you haven't had it, it's great.
I haven't.
Schnitzel.
They're brand new as well. Felice Agencies
Is
representing
it
them as well.
Is it called Hansel and Gretel?
Mhm.
Mhm.
And wow.
Yeah.
Okay, so I'm going to say this on air, and then you can hold me accountable to it. Probably over the holiday, I think it was. Yes, some friends of mine started a hiking club called Vita Bella, and they got the idea from somebody else. But it's this, like, they have a winter series, and they just post the 6 hikes that you want to take through, December through April, let's say. And if you become a member for a small nominal fee, they'll give you this little bandana. So you take pictures, you put it on the Facebook group or Instagram, right? And you're just, hey, I'm part of Vita Bella, your beautiful hike or your life or whatever that means. And right, Vita Bella, your life. Yep. And then you can pay a little extra for a shirt, right? Super cool. I've been on one of the hikes so far as a group, or you can go by yourself, doesn't matter. And so I started thinking, what a brilliant idea to do something like that for Tempe, but have it be this either, hey, we're meeting at these days at these locations, and you can be part of it, whatever the series is called, sponsored, of course, by Phoenix Business Radio, right? Or you can do it on your own. Oh, thank you. Yes, beautiful life. My Spanish-speaking producer over here. the man who helps me with just about everything in life. So wouldn't that be kind of neat?
That would be fun.
So now maybe even the first one would be a fairy tale theme.
Oh, that'd be perfect.
Yeah.
I think there's
that
enough in
sounds great to
Tempe.
me.
I think
Yeah.
so. Okay, good. We'll put our brains together and
Yeah.
we'll see if we can pull that off. I think that'd be another fun way to support local
hmm
and specifically Tempe in this case. And I think that'd be fun. So anyway, that's where that idea came from.
I love that.
But I'm running in like 90 different directions,
No,
and
it's
there's
all
only
right.
about 4 things that I actually get my attention at any one time.
I'm starting to notice that habit too. Like it's becoming very quickly how
Welcome
much the
to
business-
owning
yes.
your own business.
every time that phone rings, it's like, what did I forget now?
Uh-huh.
Who was I supposed to meet with?
Yep.
Uh,
The other piece of this too, again, referencing our show earlier today with the guest that we had, there are many statistics out there around business ownership and mental health. Some good, some not so good. But when you become an entrepreneur or business owner, you are quickly signing up for how to figure your life out. Because most often, the only thing that's stopping us from being successful is what's going on up here.
mhm.
And so it's a journey in self-discovery as much as it is in business success.
Yep. And I think a big part of what I'm realizing is I have to, the hardest part of this entire journey was admitting when I'm not good at something.
Oh,
And
tell
I
me
am-
about it.
I am very not good at that.
Admitting that?
Yeah. Yeah. I'm not good at admitting that. So that was a really hard part to struggle with, was how do I handle when I'm facing a challenge? I have two options. I can shut down and just put it on a list and deal with it later, or I can tackle it, or even the third option, I can find somebody that's good at it.
Yes.
bring them in.
Let's move that third option to the top.
Yes. And that's what I've done. The Felice Agency is that person
Yeah.
because I don't do marketing. I've never done that type of aspect before. I've never done branding. I've never done, how do I build a website? How do I get SEO what?
Oh, listen, I'm only 4 years into this business. I owned a social media company previously, but this is the first time I've owned a business by myself. Ran it by myself up until 7 months ago when Daryl joined me. But there's also that struggle with, at least in my case, it was, I was doing this grassroots and I didn't get any funding coming into it. And I had to just make those decisions. So for quite some time, I was doing everything by myself. But then you hit that plateau where you have to say, I don't have the answers for this. And nor should I really be spending my time to try to figure this out. I could, but then that's going to take me off of all these other things that I need to be responsible for to grow the business, right? I think we talked about a little bit, Jesse, earlier. And so making those decisions, at what point do I hire
Mhm.
an agency that knows this and they can help us get where we need to go? And it's not a move that I should make on my own. So yeah, love it.
Yeah. And mental health was a big reason why I quit my job for that.
Mhm.
Working in the corporate world, especially the transition, I think, working from home during the pandemic was hard. I think a lot of people have that journey. A lot of people can relate. You don't get that separation from going to work and coming home. Even if you log in at home, you still had that like mental decompression driving.
Mm-hmm.
I think for me, it hit to the point where it's like I felt like I'm very hard on myself. So always feeling like I could do more or I wasn't doing enough just meant that I would log in earlier, stay on later. And I finally got to the point where it was like I was working so much. I was so hard on myself and critical on myself. Not really warranted because I got great feedback from my peers. But not having that interaction and that engagement with others became very difficult for my mental health. So I think joining into business ownership world, there's definitely a different level of mental health considerations.
Yeah.
But now I'm in control.
Yep.
I'm in the driver's seat. I'm in the seat where I can say, you know what? Maybe this month we don't try to get as far along on our goal. Maybe this month we just dial back and that's okay.
Yeah.
Or, hey, you know what? We don't want to slow down. We've hit the gas pedal. We just did our ribbon cutting. We're on Business RadioX. Come on. Like we're moving forward. So let's lean in and let's get the assistance where we need the assistance and bring in those experts that can take those things off of our plate. And I think that's very important to know when to pull those levers and kind of balance that.
And have those benchmarks so that, or like we have our core values here. I don't know if you've established core values for yourself yet. Good. Okay, good. Yeah. Because that becomes my benchmark for everything. I can go back when I have a tough decision to make, look back, am I reflecting these core values? And I quickly can find my answer. Either yes, you are, keep trudging along, or no, and let's go back to this. And then the decision becomes easier. So good for you. What else do you have to tell us? So you mentioned that you might consider staying open late when it's final season. I love that. Are there other things that you're doing? You mentioned the candidates for the council coming and doing some coffee talks and that sort of thing. Do you have any other events or ideas for events planned for the future?
We're really looking at anything that brings people out that you might traditionally see in a pub or a bar, where we want to make that available to people in a different setting, right? So I may draw the line at karaoke, right?
Karaoke.
But
you say no to karaoke?
No karaoke.
Yeah.
No
but music and local musicians.
Yeah, local musicians would be so welcome. We are looking and we're talking to Drag Story Hour, hoping to get them out to do something. Book clubs, the Tempe Library is right across the way from us, so close. And they are such a great part of Tempe. The new director, the head librarian, Jill, the Friends of Library Book Club, they've supported our lending library. The Friends of Library has, as well as Changing Hands. We'll throw that out there. They've been very supportive of the idea.
I was thinking about them.
We'd love to host book clubs, local authors. We have the mural that Paige did. We brought a muralist out from LA as well to do our back hallways. I'll let Gabe talk a little bit more about her.
Yeah, it was Corey Maddie. She was LA's Woman of the Year, I think, last year. You might have actually just seen her if you watched the Betty White special on NBC.
I haven't watched it.
She did a Be More Like Betty mural in LA. She's an incredible artist. She's all about spreading messages of hope, and that's where her persona, the LA Hope Dealer, comes from.
Incredible. And she did the back hallways for you.
Yes.
Towards the like a bathroom alley kind of a thing?
She did the bathrooms and the back hallway and the doves on the sidewalk out front as well. Yeah, she tied everything together for us. My point there was that we love the local art community as well. Being next to Jerry's Artorama, it's a great location for that community to come in and visit with us. And, we would love to, we're looking at consignments, for stickers and bracelets and pins and that sort of thing as well. So
I think there's some other opportunities with like getting more involved with the business community. I'm finding out that I'm not the only one that has these questions about how to run a business.
Right.
And that's really comforting. But I think there's some really fun ways to potentially leverage that, whether it be a lunch and learn series where we have people in over coffee and we talk about sourcing,
Yeah.
real exciting stuff, or like how do you vet your vendors, or what do you look for in a business partner? There's so many different ways, or bring in an accountant or tax season. What do we need to know? How do we not screw up?
Yes.
So I mean, there's so many ways that we can bring in the business community that can also bring in outsiders that were me 6 months ago.
Yeah.
Never started a business, had no idea where to start. And that may be their introduction to being like, okay, this community is in the same boat I am. They're just a little bit further down the journey on this journey. Let's dive in. Let's take a bet on myself.
Yeah.
So
With everybody patting your back and saying, you can
yes,
do this.
yeah.
Like, you're not that far behind where we were.
And if you have questions, call me.
Yeah.
If I don't know, we'll figure it out
I
together.
love it.
Yeah. So it's really, I think there's a lot of opportunity to continue that mission of creating community with other partners.
Yeah, one thing I think I've discovered in the last couple of months is that the community is shaping us as much as we're influencing anybody else, right? So as we go, we're finding out what people want, and they're letting us know. And I think Brick Road is going to become a living thing and develop into what it's going to develop into, right? And so there's lots of opportunities out there to interact with the community. And we'll find out what the best ones are. So far, I think we need to get open on Sundays,
Mhm.
which is our goal this month. We're still only open 6 days a week
Mhm.
because Gabe wants to sleep
I
occasionally.
can't imagine.
Like one day of rest.
How selfish
I'm
of
going to
you.
take that away from him. But yeah, we had events every Saturday in January and February,
wow.
and yeah, we're loaded up for February too. So,
Good.
we'll keep thinking about what else we can add for
Yeah.
sure.
Yeah.
I would love to offer myself up for a
Oh, that'd be
conversation,
amazing.
a series on mental health and wellness. I'm a trauma guide as well as a Tao guide, so I help people through
That's
healing
amazing.
through trauma, which is why I've hired Daryl so that I can slip out and continue to build that business
my
while
gosh.
this one
Wonderful.
continues to
Yeah.
run. But to the point that we were saying earlier, right, that there so many of us during COVID have been given the opportunity, whether we've welcomed it or not, or did it kicking and screaming, we've had to take a breath and step back and take a look at, how am I taking care of myself? Am I spending time with the people that are important to me? And if not, maybe it's time for me to do things differently. For some people that looks like yoga. For some people it looks like quitting jobs. For some people it's moving across the country, or so many different things have been happening for people. That's the gift, I think, or the silver lining in something that's been also so tragic for us worldwide. So yes, if I can, and I can share a
Appreciate
little
that.
bit more
Yeah,
about some of the talks that I do. But I think
please.
especially with the community that you're building, right? And again, just around even business ownership and just being able to show up who we are, all of who we are.
Mhm.
Not everybody has a support behind them to do that. So even if we talked a little bit about that internal health and that internal voice, and how to have a better, stronger champion and cheerleader inside you, instead of the one that sings all the things that you don't want to be hearing.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's incredible. Yeah, because I will be the first to admit, as much as we are championing that we want to be this inclusive space, this space that is, I have room to grow on that. I still have more
Well,
to
we all do.
learn on
Yeah.
all of that. And so I think that would be an amazing conversation, because my number one mission is, I want to make sure that whatever environment I'm creating, I want my employees first to feel like they can bring themselves 100%. Whether it be they are trying to decide what pronouns to use, whether it be they're trying to decide how to present for the day, whether it's more feminine, more masculine. How do I create an environment where they have full creative freedom to explore who they are?
And it's safe to figure that out.
Yes.
Mhm.
Mm-hmm.
And know that it'll be received well, and know that it's not going to be questioned or challenged or
Right.
so.
Or am I going to have a job after this?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Of course you are. Right.
All the worries that you hear of people having when they're experiencing those opportunities to really fully be expressed.
Right. And
Mhm.
I think it's very easy for us to kind of look back and think, oh, it's just youth. I will be the first
Oh,
to admit,
gosh.
like, since we started this, we're 3 months in, I've met so many people that have started the transition process later in life,
Mhm.
because now it's to the point where it's more accepted. They can do it. So how do I create an environment where that's even more available,
Mhm.
more known to people, that they can come and figure out who they are. They can have that first date there, that, Maybe it's the first day after you started transitioning and you're just not sure if you're going to be in a safe environment. Come to Brick Road Coffee. Know that you have that safe spot. Know that there's somebody there that will support you and validate you.
To be clear, we don't have bouncers. But
we don't. We have wonderful baristas.
Great baristas, no bouncers. Got it. Oh my gosh, this has been such a fun conversation. I truly am inspired by both of you and just jumping in, make it happen. Again, it sounds like you've picked the right partners in the local businesses to provide you with some of the food and that sort of thing and the coffee, in addition to Felice Agency and just the community that you're building. It speaks volumes about who you two are from the inside out. And that doesn't mean that we're perfect, right? I hear that. I listen, I am familiar. I think the name of our series might be something, we'll do something with Wizard of Oz. I turned it into one event into now a series, by the way, in my mind. But how about fully expressed? Something around being fully expressed.
I think that's amazing. Yeah,
right?
Because
that's what you're talking about. This is an opportunity. Fully espresso.
Fully espressoed.
Fully expressed while drinking espresso. I don't know. We'll have some fun with that. If you could tell us where you're located, where we can find you on social media, and how folks can stay in touch with you. Are you either of you on LinkedIn?
Yes, we
Is
both
that a good place to
That's
connect
a great
with
place. Easy peasy. So our coffee shop is 4415 South Rural Road, Suite 10, Tempe, Arizona, 85282. It's the southeast corner of the Rural Road and the US 60. We are open right now, as of airing, Monday through Saturday, 8:30 a.m. to 10 p.m. We'll be expanding those hours soon. You can find us on social. Brick Road Coffee is pretty easy. Facebook, TikTok, and Instagram.
Oh, he's so proud of his TikTok account.
Oh, I bet.
I'm having fun.
I haven't made that. I don't know that I ever will make that leap.
You know, it's a creative expression. It's a creative release for me. I love it.
I need to stop being so buttoned up. I have to really have this vision. I watch some of these women that do just amazing things. I'm like, I'm that silly. I'm that fun. I could do that. And then I shrink.
It's the authenticity. That's 100%. That's what's received so well on TikTok is being authentic. And then you can find me. This is Gabe Hagen on LinkedIn. Gabe Hagen, pretty easy.
Hagen.
Yes.
Gabe, Gabe.
Yeah, and Jesse Shank also on LinkedIn. Shank, like the prison implement.
But not. That's like me. People say, like when I order my coffee, what is your name? Karen, but not that Karen. Shank, but not that Shank.
Right.
I love it. Anything else that I hadn't thought to ask that as you came over today, you were thinking, we kind of want to make sure we mentioned this?
No, I would love to invite the community. Just come check us out.
Yeah,
come check us out. Come try our coffee. Let me know. Give me your feedback. Honest feedback means the world to me. So I'm not there. My business card is out by the condiment bar. So has my cell phone. Feel free to grab it. Call me if you have any questions.
Or text.
Yeah.
My last spiel is there's an outlet at every seat. So, we are there for the students as well, right?
He's much better at this than I am.
An outlet with USB ports for your phone and all that stuff. So we aren't a coffee shop. People have told us, like, you want to turn the tables, right?
Don't let people linger.
No, come hang out, come study. That's what we're here for. People run their businesses in our shop.
Course.
They come and work, to get out of the house as telecommuters. We welcome that. Hang out. Get to know us, take a break and chat with us. Yeah, that's it.
I encourage you to come early, though, because we are a small shop. So
we do run out of seats.
Find your space.
We do
it's really an important announcement that you have the outlets and the USBs. Every time I do lunch by myself somewhere, that's always what I'm looking for, so I can make a working lunch. And so many places still don't have that, right?
I think we have 40-some outlets in our 1,400 square feet. So.
Is it 1,400 square feet?
It's pretty small.
Well, I was going to say the opposite. That's a decent sized place for a coffee shop. Yeah, no.
Well, it is.
There's a lot of bathroom space.
Very
large bathrooms.
Two bathrooms.
Two large bathrooms.
Good.
You never have to wait for a bathroom. Also an important
And
announcement.
they're gender neutral. And we've heard our signs are amazing on our bathrooms. So come check it out.
Yeah, I was just going to say, don't tell us. Just plant the seed and we'll have to go check that out. Well, you have been a pleasure, as I mentioned. Brick Road Coffee. So happy to have you here in the Tempe community. And thanks for doing everything you are for your community, our community, and coffee.
Thank you for having us.
Absolutely.
Thank you so much. It was a lot of fun.
Good. You've been listening to Phoenix Business Radio, broadcasting live from the Max 6 Entrepreneur Center right here in Tempe, Arizona. Some media leans left, some lean right, and we lean business. Until next time, I'm Karen Nowicki. Thanks for listening.